The Ghana Agricultural Sector Investment Program is a government initiative designed to provide a framework for a long-term financing engagement for private-led poor agricultural value chain development in Ghana.
As you are aware, the Ghana Agricultural Sector Investment Program, GASIP, is currently being financed by an IFAD loan of $36 million and an ASAP grant of $10 million. The program is being implemented by your Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Mr. Chairman, the goal and objectives of GASIP is to sustainably reduce poverty in rural Ghana by increasing profitability and resilience to climate change of agribusinesses and smallholder farmers.
The National Program Coordinator, Kluche Kudomo, indicated that the switch in management for the program has increased the implementation status from 12% in 2015 to 78% in 2019.
GASIP became effective in 2015 and was expected to close by June 2021. However, the program is being considered for extension so as to complete some outstanding activities. Mr. Chairman, before the current management of GASIP took over in April 2019, GASIP implementation status was 12%, a situation which was leading to a premature closure of the program by IFAD for non-performance. However, due to the hard work of management and staff, IFAD has reclassified the status of the program from a non-performing one to a performing program.
Mr. Kudomo stated that the farmers benefited directly with production inputs and were trained in good agricultural practices. He went on to highlight some benefits enjoyed indirectly.
They were also trained in good agricultural practices, climate change resilience, food safety and food quality training, operational excellence to ensure that their businesses are functioning properly, food processing, among others. In terms of equipment and machinery, 28 tractors, 600 power tillers, and small handheld rice harvesters were distributed to selected farmer-based organizations across the country. GASIP also invested heavily in rural infrastructure. We provided access routes that link farmers to markets. Solar-powered boreholes were provided to 27 communities in Ghana for dry season vegetable production. 12 weather stations were installed to provide accurate and timely weather information to farmers.
The ministry further revealed that the success of the investment program has led to the development of a new program, Livelihood and Productivity Enhancement of Smallholder Farmers, worth $105 million.
GASIP has demonstrated that when given more resources, the program will execute more activities that will cause a catalytic transformation among smallholder farmers in this country. In this regard, IFAD, MOFA, and other partners have developed a concept note for a new program, Livelihood and Productivity Enhancement of Smallholder Farmers, christened Prosper.
Joseph Abarike has 3 micro gardens around his home at Kumbosco near Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. Inside the gardens, Abarike has piggeries. He has other livestock, including guinea fowls, chickens, goats, and cattle, which freely roam the gardens or around his home. Abarike also has a fish pond, which he made from an old abandoned swimming pool close to his home.
If you put in the water, you can drop 5,000 tilapia young ones, they call fingerlings, or the catfish young ones. So if you are able to feed them consistently, half year, that is January to July, you can harvest, and from July to December again you can harvest.
Now retired from the Ghana Red Cross Society, Joseph Abarike has a lot of time to tend to his gardens, which he says are deliberately integrated with how he rears his animals.
What I do is that because I grow pigs, I have poultry, I have some few sheep and goats, I use their manure to grow maggots, and I lift some of the maggots to feed the fish. Sometimes, even if you pick some quantity of the cow dung or the poultry droppings and put in the fish pond, it helps to grow microorganisms like algae and other things. The fish feed on the microorganisms. Then when the fish, when this thing decomposes small, and the fish also excretes, the linkage is that I pump the water back to the farm. That will boost the cultivation of maize, alefu and other things. When I pluck the maize, the cuttings are given to the pigs or the animals to grind and to turn into natural manure. So the agroecology perspective is just that you don't throw away the waste. The waste of one tends to be the resource for another, and vice versa.
Agroecology is based on applying the interactions between plants, animals, humans, and the environment within agricultural systems. By doing this, agroecology can support food production, food security, and nutrition whilst restoring the ecosystem. Abarike is a promoter of agroecology. This is one of his 3 gardens. It is the month of March, the hottest time of the dry season in this part of the country. He has not been able to afford a mechanized borehole yet, but has managed to keep some of his crops alive with water from this shallow borehole donated to him. Abarike believes that his farming methods help him to produce healthier foods for his home and also to earn some income.
I have carrot here. I have cabbage. I have sugarcane. I have pawpaw trees, a number of them. I have plantain, I have sweet potato, I have banana, I have alefu. When a customer comes with money to spend, by all means he will spend it here. If he comes for alefu and there's no alefu, there is a substitute, cabbage. If he doesn't want cabbage, he'll be attracted by the pawpaw or any of the environment. He will spend the money here. So we don't use chemical fertilizer, so the effects of chemicalization is reduced. So if you buy from my garden, you are eating good vegetables.
Definitely there is. Fusaini Bogbon is a farmer and also a promoter of agroecology and organic farming. Bogbon has a 6-acre organic farm located at the Gundog community in the Nabdam district of the Upper East region. On this farm, he grows a wide variety of food and cash crops, including cassava, maize, and pawpaw.
I also support my community in terms of sharing of knowledge. Education, like schools, I also share like practicals and also providing spacemen to some of their masters in order to make teaching of agriculture more easier.
Just like Abarike, Bogbon also has a fish pond and rears livestock inside his farm.
I don't use chemicals like pesticides and the rest, no. Because early days I went with my father and I saw how they were doing, because they were rearing animals and at the same time using compost in feeding the soil. So I adapted this knowledge. I've also planted trees because they share their leaves so that when they come in contact with the soil, they get blended, you see, and this helps the soil to be active, and whatever you plant grows well.
Here at Karmenga, a Northeast region community very close to the Upper East region, Ibrahim Salifu also applies agroecology methods on his 7-acre farm. Salifu uses a method he calls no-till on his farm.
Well, over here we really practice just very natural methods. The type of farming that is really not that much expensive. The no-till farming, which is also very, very, very good. Yeah, you really don't have to tend the land so much, because when you look at it, the soil the crop needs, or the nutrients the crop needs, it's just at the topsoil and not what is beneath. So you really don't do burning, you encourage mulching, because you have to really consider the living organisms in the soil that also help.
And just like Bogbon and Abarike, Salifu rears livestock which provide him manure, so he does not need to use chemical fertilizers.
Currently at my corral, I have almost 33 cows here, and this is where they stay. Saidu is the one taking care of the cows, and at the same time the poultry. We have the guinea fowls. Yes, the cattle for now they've gone grazing, so that's why we can't find them here. But this is where they stay.
Manure is conveyed to the farm from Ibrahim Salifu's kraal, located about 500 meters away. He then prepares compost on the farm, which he uses to fertilize the soil.
This is biochar. This is just for our normal, we call it bola. A lot of charcoal burning, where the small leftovers, we mix them alongside with this, and this is really very good. Biochar is actually not a fertilizer, but it's like a soil conditioner. It really helps, so it gives also the very nice taste of the vegetable or the crop that you produce. So it's really very important. That's why we add it to our compost.
All three farmers believe that natural methods of farming such as DS should be promoted by the government to ensure healthy food, protect the environment, and provide a source of income for farmers.
But I think places like this should be found within Ghana. Farmers who are into this, where students can go practically see what these farmers do, not staying just in the classroom, but then in trying to understand what they do practically. Because sometimes what you read is different from when you practice it.
Agroecology does not make use of these chemical fertilizers. The materials that you sow is what you use back for fertilizer, and even insecticide. I have a neem tree here. You can even use neem tree as an insecticide. Some of the plants, these ones, if you pluck them and put in water for the birds to drink, you don't need to bring in veterinary chemicals. So it will, as a country, it will help to reduce our dependency on chemical imports.
What you get from that system is very healthy as compared to the conventional agriculture, because when they say food consumption, it's not the matter of consuming and be satisfied, it's rather to consume and to look more healthier. But if you consume, it affects your life, then you have to spend a lot attending hospital. And the answer is organic, because if you do organic, you have everything okay.
The Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development, CICOD, and the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana are promoting the concept of agroecology. They believe that this method, because of its endogenous nature, ensures sustainable agriculture, since farmers only have to rely on resources around them. Bernard Guri is Executive Director of CICOD.
You take the agricultural sector, for example, and look at our agricultural policy. We should first look at what do we have in Ghana. We've been talking about seeds. What seed do we have in Ghana? And how can we develop that seed? If we then need support from elsewhere to do what we're doing better, then we can do that. Because if we depend on seed from outside, there are companies that are producing seed outside, they'll bring it. But if COVID comes, the borders will be closed and the seeds cannot come in. So the beautiful start for this government in particular is the idea of, you know, development starting from where we are. And I think that's the beginning of endogenous development. That's what we have been encouraging government to adopt that strategy in whatever we're going to do.
Experts who advocate for agroecology say it impacts positively on the environment and sustains biodiversity. Dr. Kofi Boah, also known as Okuanipa, is the founder and director of the Center for No-Till Agriculture. His center is dedicated to promoting and teaching the concepts of agroecology.
Agroecological farming is what is going to ensure that you're able to sustain the productivity of that piece of land. You are impacting positively on the environment. Yesterday we were out there on the field working in an agroecology farm. We got under the mango tree, under the tree, and everybody said, oh. And that is where we're talking about impacting positively on the environment. Biodiversity is so much needed. And so when you have several crops grown in rotation or whatever, interspersed with strips of trees, be it natural or consciously planted, that is where you create niches, you create habitat for everything to come out. And therefore you are encouraging biodiversity, which is so much needed.
For him, if government is committed to ensuring food security in Ghana, then investments must be made to promote agroecology in the country.
You see, the biggest challenge, the biggest problem of people is asking, keep asking, can agroecology feed the world? And my answer to that question is, why not? As I speak to you now, machinery is available for agroecological farming. I have told you, the principles are that we do very little, very minimal disturbance to the soil, and we have machinery, no-till planting systems that will just cut a slit through the mulch and plant without plowing, without doing that much disturbance. We have machinery that will be able to manage the vegetation. The roller crimper attached to the tractor that will manage the system such that you get a good carpet of mulch on the ground, and then there's machinery that will plant through. So agroecology can be done at large scale.
One thing is clear: organic foods are sought after all over the world. Agroecology produces organic food and also sustains the ecosystem. For advocates of agroecology, it remains for government and other investors to support farmers so that they can further improve on systems of African farming which have worked for centuries. Albert Sori, Joy News, Bolgatanga.
Essence of agroecology, or the import of agroecology, is what goes into climate change and adaptation for farmers. So the essence and research that agroecology brings into agriculture is to ensure that there's resilience against climate change, there is proper usage of the various inputs. For example, pesticide usage, fertilizer usage are managed in a way that sustainably agriculture can grow, and grow in a manner that other living organisms within the agroecology are not affected, and also food systems are not polluted unnecessarily. But what we want to say is that we are not only talking of organic here, we are talking of a proper usage of resources in such a manner that human beings can have healthy life as they consume food products. And also, it is such that other organisms living in the ecosystem are not affected, because the food chain is important for the livelihood of all living organisms, including human beings. What we do is to import research information. For example, if you are planting maize, you need 3 bags. You need 3 bags of fertilizer, that's NPK, and 1 bag of urea to plant 1 acre of maize. That is adequate not to harm any living organism, or that is not, you are not excessively applying to cause what we call to cause harm to the environment. So those are the things we do. And indeed, because we don't want to harm the environment, we ensure that all fertilizers, all seeds imported into this country are done and tested through the appropriate units of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and other agencies. We have the SGS, we have our own Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Department of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, who has to certify the seed you bring into the country, who has to certify the fertilizer you bring into this country, so that all of them are not toxic to the environment. And that, of course, there are monitoring situations to ensure that even if there is any defect, it is corrected almost immediately. I think they already have support. Under the Planting for Food and Job, organic manure is one of the fertilizers that the program adopts. And it is one of the programs that is the fertilizers that are benefiting from the subsidy as well. So clearly they have support. The advice we need to give farmers is that it is not all crops that can be grown under organic manure in a commercial manner. If you take vegetables, for example, if you do 1 acre of pepper farm, you are almost profitable, you are almost breaking even and making profit. But if you take maize, for example, you want to do 10 acres of maize, it is basically impractical to use manure for your 10-acre maize, 20-acre maize. So these are the knowledge that our extension officers are sharing with the farmers to know the exact crop that they can do with manure and the benefit they can get from using manure, rather than just saying wholesale manure, I want to apply manure on my 50-acre farm. It is so bulky you cannot use. What we want to emphasize is that because of the testing regimes and the regulatory regimes, you can still use inorganic fertilizer like the NPK, the urea we are using, to grow your crops without harming the environment and without leaving residues. You can use pesticide to do your farm without having pesticide residues in your crops which you consume. The most important thing is for those fertilizers to undergo the appropriate testing procedures. Indeed, Ghana or West Africa is not using the right quantities of fertilizer because we don't even have the money to buy the fertilizers. If you go to Europe, they apply more fertilizers. But food from Europe is considered safe. Why is food from Ghana not considered safe? Because they are using inorganic fertilizers. That is not a fact. So we are not even using the adequate quantity of fertilizer we need to use on our crops. The most important thing for few farmers who are using it, let's educate them to do it properly to ensure that whatever they produce is produced according to the regulations so that food safety issues will not come up. The most important thing is to look at what you want to do and the market you want to assess. If you are assessing an organic market and you have all it takes to supply that market and you have all the premiums, then the students can follow and get there, because young people need to go into agriculture in a profitable manner. So if you're just doing something which you don't have market for, if you are growing organic crops that you don't have market for, I will say that look for the market first, because some of these things have been done without appropriately looking at the market they want to assess. It is also possible for the students to do commercial agriculture. If you are saying commercial agriculture, you do crops which you are using the inorganic fertilizer in an appropriate way and have access to market. So I will not say farmers must students must be encouraged to go into organic manure, or the most important thing is for them to know the market they are targeting, because at the end of the day, the thing must put money into your pocket, otherwise it is not worth doing.